Yeah. Hey. All right. Hey. Yeah, I mean.
So we about to take off.
Hey. Please do remain calm. About to run against it and with a little bit of soul, no time.
Welcome to the Please Remain Calm podcast. I'm Ben Gonzalez.
And I am Daniel Gonzalez. Hey, listen, before we start, all of the opinions expressed here on the Please Remain Calm podcast are our own. They do not reflect the opinions of the Los Angeles City Fire Department or the Los Angeles County Department of Health Services.
And with that out of the way, we want to go ahead and thank all the new listeners and subs that we have. It's pretty awesome. We appreciate you guys, everybody who's spreading the word about our show, because we are pretty much supported by ourselves and you. We're not on a network or anything. We don't really spend a bunch of money on ads or any budget. Everything is word of mouth, and we just post the things on IG, little clip here and there, and you guys are awesome and post and share.
Yeah,
and
with the
talk
last,
about us.
especially with the last, few episodes, the last 3 or 4 episodes, we've had a lot of new subscribers, a lot of new downloads and stuff like that. So really, really appreciate you guys sharing the podcast. If you haven't already, if you're new to the podcast, welcome. We got a good show, a great show for you today as well. Take out your phone, please. Hit the like button on this episode. Subscribe to the podcast. Follow wherever you're listening right now, please. It helps us to grow the podcast. It helps get us on hot podcast lists and just get the word out a little bit more and helps us grow. All that being said, we do have a sponsor
We sure
with the
do.
show, Power Solar. It's POWUR Solar. And our friend Isela Bonata, who started out as a listener of the show, became a friend, and then I actually got solar through her for our house. My wife and I called her up, and we had an entire meeting with her and a meeting with an installer, and they look at the satellite photo of your house. They look at all of your power bills. They figure out how many panels you need, all that stuff. They walked us through the entire thing. The whole thing took like 30, 45 minutes at the most to get through the entire thing, get the contract sent over to sign. And we're going through the process of getting the permits right now. But, we're doing something great for the environment, man. Like you said, last episode, we got the Tesla, or Bernie bought the Tesla. I didn't buy it. My wife bought her Tesla. But we got, but we got, I don't want to sell her short of her accomplishments. Yeah. We got that 220 line put in, and that takes a lot of energy. And so it's going to save us just a shit ton of money over the next little bit of time. But I want to give you Isela's phone number. Let me have it right now. So that's, you can find her at www.solarenergyqueen.com, or you can email her at solarqueen.isela, that's ISELA, at gmail.com, and you can call her at 310-435-0231. That's Isela Bonata with Power Solar. If you're going to go solar, do it with power.
Do it with power. You are, because you are the star. With Isela.
All right, man.
Yeah, and it's not just Danny. I'm going to do it too. We have our other friend that's going through to do it, and honestly, a lot of guys on LAFD.
Well, a lot of people in general, man. Yeah. And I think honestly, if you just turn on the news and look at the news right now and see what's going on the East Coast, fucking New Jersey had a damn tornado. Record flooding in New York, record rainfall in that whole upper part of the East Coast, and people are hurting. And that stuff is not by accident. It all has to do with climate change, man. Not to get too into it, saying a climate change podcast.
You have a chance to get ahead of it.
Yeah, and it's a thing that's going to save you money, and it's something that's going to help save the environment too. I mean, and let me tell you, dude, while we're at it, the Tesla, fuck, man, you should get one of those. It is like next level.
We're going
dude,
to another commercial now.
We are, dude.
Yeah,
but
right?
I gotta give a shout out to Tesla. But I was also looking at, I was thinking of buying another motorcycle. You know what I mean? And so we stopped by Harley, and we're looking at Bartels at different bikes and stuff like that. And they have that new electric bike too, man. That thing looks badass. So it pretty much everything we're doing is leaning toward electric. So it was good for us. And if it's something that looks like it might be good for you, give Isela a call.
All right. Thank you. Danny brought up people hurting, and that's going to be the subject of our episode today. We have both been paramedics since the early aughts, and we have seen a lot of this.
People hurting, or people being hurt.
Being hurt, basically.
Or people hurting other people.
People getting injured. Basically, we're going to talk about assaults. Assaults, people getting rolled, people getting tuned up. Happens in the streets every night. You don't think much of it, but when you're a paramedic and when you work in EMS, I'm going to say, for the field, that is easily like a top 3 call.
Oh yeah, right? Easily.
Yeah.
Well, because you think assault, you think, hey, 2 dudes at the bar hey, you bumped into me, say you're sorry, fuck you, dude, and then they fight, right? That's what you think of a brawl or an assault. Or somebody gets robbed and fucking gets clocked on the side of the head, and gets their purse stolen or something like that. But you also have, let's come on over to Danny's story corner.
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple.
This is where we were leading.
I'll give you a couple of assault stories. There's plenty of brawl in the bar assault stories, and those are usually people take a good beating when they're in a bar. Okay, Your bravado, your bravery, all that stuff is increased tenfold. When you're drunk, liquid courage, obviously, right? You get offended a lot easier if you're with your wife or your girlfriend and somebody looks at her, and winks or something like that. That could set you off. Anything could set you off when you're drinking or using other drugs. I mean, there's a lot of cocaine, there's a lot of meth, in the clubs these days and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So those fights actually tend to be some of the worst beatings that we see, and I think our guest today has kind of a similar story to that, but we'll get to that. But you also see, like, I had one assault that's kind of always stuck in my head was we got called to a neighborhood, middle class neighborhood in West LA. And it was for an assault, right? And so you get there, you're expecting some kind of fight. And what it was a husband and wife. Husband pissed off the wife for some reason. And he went outside to get something. She shut the door and locked it behind him. So now he's banging on the front door of his house. Let me in, right? The kid was in there too.
Right.
Let me in, bang, bang, bang. No, you calm down. And they're yelling at each other through the door and shit, right? For 15 minutes or so. She finally unlocks the door. He opens the door, grabs her by her shirt, spins her around, lines her up, and pops her right in the face.
Damn.
So we get called out there, and you get there and you don't really, especially domestic violence issues like that, you get there, it's kind of like a quiet scene a lot of times. Like nobody wants to talk about what happened.
Right.
Because a lot of times, even though they fought, like nobody wants to get anybody arrested or in trouble or anything.
Yeah.
So
and you also don't want to be there.
Yeah, but you almost have to be like a detective because you'll show up and nobody's giving you the straight poop. You know what I mean? You got this lady that's got like a broken nose and blood and stuff like that, and you're like, what happened? Did somebody, was somebody else here that assaulted you and took off, or the cops aren't there yet, and you're trying to figure out what happened, and then finally, in those situations, a lot of times you'll have to take the patient or victim away to another room or something like that and be like, hey, tell me what happened. Yeah. Or if it's a kid, got assaulted by got assaulted by a parent or something like that.
Or even just neglect for the kid. The parents don't want to say how the thing that happened to the kid happened to the kid.
Exactly.
And it's like, I need to know, dude.
Exactly. Yeah. I just saw yesterday in the news, there was a school security officer that was having some sort of interaction with the kid and popped him in the shoulder, punched him in the shoulder. That shit happens, man. Yeah. Adults hit kids. And there's a fear there when you talk to the kids. So a lot of times you have to separate them, talk to them separately.
Yeah.
And to get the straight answer. And then you find out something like that, right? Like, I separate the lady and she tells me what happened. And you go back and look at the guy and you're like, really, man? Did you punch her in the face? You know what I mean? Yeah. And you have to fight back that urge to go, you motherfucker, you know what I mean? And grab him by his collar, and slap the shit out of him. Yeah. Especially when you got your kid sitting right there. First of all, yes. I don't condone or I don't think ever hitting a woman is okay in any way. I've told this story to people, to other firefighters and shit like that. And they're like, well, she fucking locked him out of his house, probably just shit like that. You know what I mean? That's the world we live in. I don't agree with that shit at all, man. Yeah. Especially when your child is there in the house.
That's, you know what insane,
I mean? To me, hitting a woman, raising your hand to a woman is the most bitch shit that you can do, especially in front of your son. You know what I mean? All you're doing there is you're either damaging him, scaring the shit out of him, making him scared of you and your family.
There's no good outcome.
Yeah, or you're teaching him how to be like that in the future, to a woman that he's with in the future.
Yeah, and you're going to have to help them unlearn that and undo that.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? That's going to be your responsibility from then on.
It's terrible. So, you get domestic violence, things like that are also touchy, and you have to kind of dance around and be a detective to get the answer to. You'll also get beatings like people getting jumped. Oh, you know what I mean? Like,
definitely.
Like, if the Venice area used to be a highly gang infested area, the Oakwood area over there, and they were always kind of battling with Culver City. So we were either getting, Culver City projects and Mexicans, and always battling with the Venice Shoreline Crips in Oakwood. Yeah. And you would get shootings. You get multiple shootings in one night. You get one over in Oakwood, and you get another one in Culver City, and then like a third one in Venice, like later on in the evening, something like that. But then sometimes you would get, a Shoreline Crip that was walking on the boardwalk and just got caught slipping by a group of gangsters from Culver City, and stuff like that. Those beatings can be pretty bad too, because now you're talking about a lot of times, man. When excuse me, a lot of times when you get in a fight, they end pretty quick. In a bar or something like that. You say something wrong, someone gets popped, a couple, 3-4 punches get thrown, and people break it up. Yeah.
They even call it a simple assault. Yeah,
simple assault.
One injury.
When you get jumped, first of all, a lot less chance that people are going to try to break it up. Okay. People are, especially these days, people are going to pull their phones out. Oh, yeah. World Star. They're going to record the fucking thing, right? But nobody wants to get involved in somebody getting their ass beat by a group of gangsters, right? No. So more chance that you're just going to have to cover up and take that beating until they decide that it's time to stop. And a lot of times, man, a knife will get pulled out, or some kind of weapon will get pulled out that you get beat with too. So my point is, when you get an assault, like if I'm sitting around the station and we get an assault, you really could be pulling up to anything.
Oh yeah, you literally never know.
This is kind of a little bit off the topic story, but it did come out as an assault. A friend of mine who works downtown told me this crazy story about they got called to an assault downtown. They pull up as rescue only, and there's this guy, homeless guy, laying in the street. And he looks like he's been beat to shit, right? And so it happens a lot, man. Downtown, I worked 3.5 years on Skid Row, and they can't afford guns down there. You know what I mean? So when those dudes get in fights, they're either stabbing each other or they're beating each other with clubs or bats or something like that. So they see this guy and they're like, oh shit, they pull up, the lights are on him in the street, and they see him, he's all bloody in the middle of the street, he's kind of moving a little bit. They get out, oh shit, someone beat the shit out of this guy, and they pull out and get to the back, they pull the gurney out, and as they're walking back around to the front of the rig, 3 dogs, like pit bulls, run back out from this encampment that were there and continue to attack this guy. It was a pit bull attack. Yeah, so they're like, this guy that told me the story is like, man, he's like, we're walking up like, and it's just another example of not knowing what to expect when you get a call.
And rescue only,
yeah, rescue only for an assault, and you get there. And probably what happened is somebody drove by, saw this guy all bloody in the street, and said, oh, somebody beat the shit out of this guy. And they always go, hey, can you go and check and make sure he's all right? And whoever calls goes, nope, I'm not touching him. So we'll get calls for whatever person down. Yeah, caller refuses to approach or whatever. So that's probably what happened. But he goes, man, these fucking dogs were just mauling this guy, and he's alive, and they're tugging on him, and he's like, it was like what do you say? It was like that movie, The Gray, with the wolves like attacking. You ever see that movie?
No, I didn't watch it.
A fucking pack of wolves. It's a movie about this pack of wolves that. But he said that's what it was like, and what do you do, dude? You know what I mean? Like, what do you do in that instance?
I was gonna say, you don't have anything on board for pit bulls.
No, man. So the
and believe me, you have a lot of things in that rig for different situations. There's a fucking beekeeper hat inside the ambulance. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but pit bulls, like what are we doing? You don't have one of those lasso things that the dog catchers have.
Luckily, they had at night you put your turnout boots on, your turnout pants, so you feel like you have a little bit of protection from dogs with that.
Oh, like a dog trainer suit that you just use your turnouts like that?
If we have a dog call, like a dog bite or something like that, a lot of times the dog will still be on scene if it's a loose dog or a stray dog. Yeah. You always put your turnout pants on there. Yeah. It's just like that, like a dog cat. If they try to bite you, at least you got
walking in there pants. Like the hurt locker.
But you also got to call like animal control. You got to give a description of the dog. Yeah. All that shit so that they can come out and catch him. But
again, too, it's like Skid Row. So like, how hard does animal control work? Find these dogs on Skid Row, you know what I mean?
But point being, you never really know what you're getting when you get an assault call.
Hell no.
And also just like on a personal note, I've always considered myself a tough guy, right? I've been in a handful of fights in high school and after high school. I've probably been in 2 fights in my entire adulthood. And that's by design, man, because when we were growing up, there was a pretty good chance. I've always been a fairly big dude, you know what I mean? Athletic and stuff like that. So if I was going to fight with somebody, there was at least a pretty strong possibility that I was more athletic, stronger than this guy. Mm-hmm. And if I threw a punch first and landed, the fight was probably going to be pretty much over at that point, right?
Yeah.
Now everybody's a fucking MMA fighter, man.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like everybody does jiu-jitsu. Everybody's been...
You have no idea who can fight.
You have no clue, man. The skinniest, most scrawny looking dude might be a freaking black belt in jiu-jitsu, dude. You know what I mean? Like you never know who could just roll you up and choke you to death, at a snap of a finger. So you literally don't know. And dude, everybody has a fucking gun. You know what I mean? Too. And on top of that, everybody's fucking crazy now. Everybody's got that like rage gene in them right now for some reason, and fucking raging over everything.
Like you said earlier, everybody else that isn't that person and watching you just wants to get their phone out and post you getting your ass whooped.
Get that clout,
you know
baby.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
So like there is really like no incentive for this anymore. And I remember thinking that same thing too when I was younger. That especially like a smaller dude, I'll whoop his ass, man. I don't care. Like I don't even care if he hits me, dude. You know what I mean? Like I didn't give a fuck, dude. Like that shit was funny. But now you really got to think twice, man. I remember like we have friends in Vegas, Ricky and Art moved, but they lived by the Zions Training Center. So they had all these MMA fighters that just hung out with them all the time because they lived right by them, and you just sell them weed. Sorry to put you on blast, dude. But I remember like seeing the dude there that was kicking it with my other cousin Anthony, and thinking like, this guy doesn't seem like a fighter, man. Yeah. Like this is crazy. This guy is a trained MMA fighter. And then I remember that night them coming back from going out, and Anthony explained to me that this guy beat the shit out of 3 dudes right in front of him because they stepped on their foot by accident, and those guys wouldn't stop talking about them stepping on their foot. And so this fool was like, okay, pow, 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 and just dropped all of them. And I'm just like, all right, that's why I don't fight anybody now, because I don't know, bro.
You don't know,
I don't know. And then the other thing too is after you've been a paramedic and you rolled on a bunch of these assaults, and then especially if you work in a hospital or if you're a mat guy, you will never want to be in a fight again because you realize the aftermath of all these things. You don't think of none of that stuff before you get in a fight. You're like, I'm gonna be all right.
I mean, look at homeboy, that Dodger fan. 15 years ago or whatever, when they beat the shit out of him, almost killed him. I mean, the rest of it, he changed for the rest of his life. Yeah. And those guys, they got arrested and shit, right?
And And it happens a lot though, man. These guys wind up in the hospital, and if we were saying like assaults are like a top 3 call in the field for the MAC and for ERs trying to transfer people, assault is number 1. That is the guaranteed like top mechanism of calls, and they always try to put them through as a trauma call because it's usually a traumatic mechanism. And we covered the things with brawls, and we got into a little bit of like, the homeless, but that's a big one too, is that there are a lot of homeless people in LA and they fuck each other up.
Oh yeah.
I don't know like a nice way to say it. Like people don't really like think about this that much, but like they beat each other's ass. They set each other on fire. They just drop hot fucking soup on each other, stick dogs on each other. Or just other people walking by, just fucking they assault homeless people who are asleep.
Well, you got to understand that damn near everybody that is in a tent on Venice Beach or on Venice Boulevard or any of these places, they're damn near all either mentally ill or on drugs. Yeah. So their head is not all there. I mean, on Skid Row, man, you had to jolt people out of their loopiness to even talk to them to get an assessment out of them. We had a new captain. I think he's retired now. Captain Hanks. He wrote a book about being a paramedic, a successful book. But his first day at Nines, we had some guy and he's all high on the ground, sweaty and fat. And I'm like, hey buddy, come on, let's go. You want to go to the hospital? Yeah, go to the hospital. All right, come on. You got to get up. Let's go. I'm not going to pick you up. Come on. Hey, come on. Right? Mm-hmm. And he finally snaps out. Well, people are like this, dude. All zoned out. You got to, hey! Snap them, and then they'll snap back at you to be able to answer questions.
You really do have to like bark at people sometimes to get them to do what you need them to do.
And they're not, most of them aren't all there. You know what I mean? So same thing, you have some trigger that pisses them off, and they don't have any kind of barometer that tells them, you know, what's too much, what's going too far. They just don't give a fuck. And even if they get arrested and shit, hey, cool, 3 meals a day and a shower every day.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, what does it matter?
You know, so in my growth as a human being and into my adulthood, right, and in maturing, I've realized, man, that pretty much every time that I've gotten in a fight, I could have just avoided it and walked away. That it was really just my pride, my bravado, my dignity, and not wanting to feel embarrassed that caused me to throw the first punch. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you feel like fighting too.
Yeah, but there was never really I can honestly say that I've never fucking felt like fighting. that I've felt like going out and getting into a fight. Yeah, I've never fucking felt like that. Yeah. Like actually going out in physical fight.
Oh yeah, like not like starting the night like, oh, I came to kick ass and chew gum and shit.
Yeah,
but there's been times where like, oh, this wants to fight. Let's fucking fight.
Yeah, I mean you do reach that point, but that's what I'm saying is it's always there's never been a situation where I look back at it and I go, there was no fucking avoiding that. I had to fucking fight right there. Yeah. There's pretty much in every fight that I've ever had, I could have walked away and avoided the fight completely.
Yes.
But my pride, my ego, my bravado didn't allow me to do that. So one thing that I've learned as I get older, and each year this feeling gets stronger because I realize how much it helps me in my everyday life and in every other aspect of my life, is I don't allow people to have that power over me to feel like I'm going to do something that I know I don't want to do, right? Fight. Even arguments, man. If I'm having a back, like at the fire station all the time, right? Perfect example, I go over to 61s. I think I told this story. This guy who we had been going back and forth with through Instagram about political shit, I happen to be relieving him there at 61s. Mm-hmm. And it's acquaintance. We had already squashed the thing, and he starts talking about it again. So we get into it again, and we're talking back and forth and stuff like that. Yada yada yada. It gets to he insults me. All right. Now I could very easily go, "What the fuck do you say, man? Say that shit again to my face," and step up. And now he's got his ego in place, right? His bravado in place. So now he's got to puff his chest out. Well, you're not going to puff your chest out more than me, bitch. Oh, I puffed my chest out. Now we're touching titties, and now we're fucking fighting, right? Yeah. No, man. I've learned now to go, you didn't have to do that, man. Now this conversation is over. All right? Now we're never going to talk about this shit again. I was happy to talk to you about it before. Now you want to insult me? We're done. I'm not exposing myself to that shit anymore. Right. And I walked away and I've never talked to that guy again. Right. Yeah. And I'm perfectly fucking fine with that.
Yeah. Better for it.
I didn't need him in my life before, and I don't need him in my life now. And I didn't get in a fight. I didn't unnecessarily injure somebody. I didn't wind up in jail. I didn't fuck my life up because of my ego. Yeah. Or because of my bravado.
And we're in our 40s now, and we've learned that, but not everybody, gets to that.
And I could probably kick a lot of ass right now. Like I'm pretty fucking fit. Yeah. You know what I mean? I've boxed. I'm probably the most able to kick ass right now than I ever have in my life. Yeah. But hey, what's up, man? But I'm able to hold that back and restrain. And that just comes from maturing, man. And I think, and that's one of the things when I talk to the boys, right? Like raising my boys. Yeah. When I look back at my life, I can see very clearly the amount of time that I've wasted with figuring shit out and on bullshit in my life. Yeah. And I feel like growing up with dad, I always felt like dad felt like his job was to prepare us for shit, like to put us in uncomfortable situations so that we could get through them and be better man for it in the end. Okay.
Yeah, and he was specifically worried about us not being able to fight.
Yes.
Because for dad, he grew up like fighting a bunch of people all the time. Right. It was like a way of life for him. But so I think he did with you too, but he boxed me every day. Yeah. Yeah. It's like my earliest memory, like since I'm like 4, is like boxing my dad all the time.
But with the boys, with my boys at least, I feel like my job for them, I've gotten through the fucking please and thank you, be a good person, do the right thing, what's right and wrong phase with them, I believe. They make good decisions now. I feel like my job now is to just give them information. Give them all the shit that I wasted time trying to figure out. Tell them everything that I went through, the good and the bad. Give them that information so that they can use that to make their own decisions in their own life. Because no matter what the fuck I say or teach my boys, eventually they are going to do whatever the fuck they want to do.
Of course.
Okay. I mean,
there's nothing we could do about
and
it.
The more you tell them, like, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, the more they're going to want to do that. The more you hide information from them, the more they're going to want to seek out. The more they're going to want to seek out that information on their own. So I feel like my job is just to fucking give them everything. And part of that is they do take jujitsu, right? Mm-hmm. But part of that is explaining to them that the best way to fight is just to fucking avoid the fight altogether, because you never know what's going to happen, man. And you never know if they got a friend around the corner that you're beating this guy's ass and he comes around behind you with the fucking club and blocks you on the head, and now you're on the ground knocked out getting the shit beat out of you, you know? Yeah. You never fucking know.
Yep.
So that's one of the things that I always try to teach my boys is what the way I feel about shit now. Don't give people the power to put you in that position where you're so fucking mad that you can't control your emotions and you do something that you're going to regret in the end. Yeah. Nobody should have that power over you. And to be honest with you, man, if I've ever been in an argument with somebody like that dude, right? We're fucking going back and forth, and I'm making calm fucking points about counterpoints to his points, right? He gets pissed off and says, "Oh, well, I think once you grow up, you'll see how the fucking world works," something like that, right? And I'm like, "Grow up, huh? Why the fuck do you have to do that, man? We just had a perfectly good conversation. You're fucking insulting me. Right. We're done, dude. I'm not going to talk to you again. See ya." And I turned around and walked away, right? That pissed him off more. Mm-hmm. Just me smiling at him and going, "All right, bro, we're fucking done. See you later. Have fun." I don't even fucking follow you on Instagram. You know what I mean? Exactly. You're hitting me up, DMing me about this shit. I don't give a fuck about any of this or you. And I turned and walked away, right? Yeah. That pisses people off more when you look at them and smile and go, "Oh, that's funny. You're trying to fucking get under my skin. You can't, bitch. See ya." And turn and walk away. Trying to get that through to my kids, you know what I mean? But then still have the ability to, if somebody fucking tries to wrap you up, you can, wrap them up in a fucking rear naked or something and knock them out. But
if you need to,
if you need to. But
if it happens, but don't.
Our guest is here. Let's introduce our guest.
That was such a perfect intro. Like, I feel like we're right on the wavelength for what we're about to talk about. So thank you, gentlemen.
Bare naked, or I say rear naked. Our guest is here. I like it. I love it.
Fully clothed.
Our guest is comedian, host, producer, man about the cannabis industry, and father. Fellow father, Mr. Zach Miller.
Thank you for having me. I fully apologize for being late.
Oh, no, that's right, man.
We need to holler at first anyways, man. Yeah.
Okay, well,
we
good.
do a little talk-up thing.
This works out. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, we've been talking about, we've just been talking about assaults. Ben and I are both paramedics, and so we're just telling some stories about some old assaults. Yeah. And it kind of leads right into your story.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you were talking about avoiding conflict, and I totally had the opportunity to do that. Yeah. And Mr. Daniels was like, "Nah, bro, you want to get in this."
Jack
what the fuck you mean walk away?
The number one backup, man.
No, dude, you need to go outside and show these motherfuckers where you from, bro.
Dude, it's funny. I just the boys. I was driving with the boys the other day. Or no, I was taking it easy to the Dodger game, and he goes, "What kind of music did you listen to, Daddy, when you were in high school?" I go, "You want to hear some shit, dude?" And I put on a 90s hip hop. Mm-hmm. And Eminem, Guilty Conscience came on. Oh, yeah. And I was like, this is why Eminem is the shit, right? And they're listening, and then I forgot how crazy that song is. I'm like, whoop.
I let my kids listen to everything.
Yeah, it's good, man.
My policy is, as long as I'm there to provide context, it's appropriate.
Yeah, that's smart.
Because they're going to discover all of it anyway.
They are, yeah.
So it's like, I'd rather them discover it when Dad's around to give them a little context rather than getting context from their stupid friends.
Exactly.
This
who don't
is
know
what
shit.
Uncle Luke means. All right. He doesn't mean pop the booty like a balloon. The booty doesn't explode.
It's a metaphor.
It does make noise, though.
Yeah, right.
It's all metaphors.
He's not really their uncle.
Gangsta Nip didn't really kill 4,000 cops yesterday. It's a metaphor. It's an expression of artistic rage, children.
So we have been talking about assaults, and we have Zach as our guest because Zach is somebody who got rolled.
I got rolled pretty hard. Like I said, this was. Do you want me to just give you the brief?
Set the table, dude.
All right.
Yeah, this is your time now.
This is my 30th birthday.
All right.
It's a Sunday night. a homie, I'm going to leave names out of this just because it's too long later and I don't feel like bringing names into it. So a friend was playing at the Ontario Improv. I hadn't done stand-up in 5 years at that point, right? This is 2009.
Wait, you don't even want to say which comic show it was? Like he's that involved in the story?
It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay.
So I went to a homie's show at the Ontario Improv. Oh. I hadn't done stand-up in 5 years at that point, right? So this is May 24th, 2009, right? So I go there to support the show, and because it's my birthday, he ends up calling me up. He's like, do 3. I had no idea I was going to do stand-up. He was like, you're doing 3 minutes. And packed house at the Improv. I was like, fuck. So I went up, I riffed out 3 minutes. It went great. Yeah. We go after to Buffalo Wild Wings, which was my former employer. I worked there like maybe 6 months prior to that.
At that exact Buffalo Wild
location, right? Yeah. So we're going to celebrate.
Did you leave there on good terms?
Yeah, everything was cool.
All right.
But
Buffalo B-dubs, I'm saying. It wasn't like
he stole 24 wings.
No, it wasn't really good. Yeah. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
Like I left peaceably. It wasn't like I didn't leave.
It was amicable.
Yeah, I still had been back there multiple times since I left. I still had all types of friends who worked there and shit, right? Yeah. So we went there to have a little after party, celebrate my birthday and whatever. It was about 15 of us, right? Out on the patio, drinking, doing it, right? My birthday, what right? Yeah. Great night. Yeah. Right? So everybody
This is my night.
Yeah, everybody celebrate my birthday. So it turns out there's these 4 lonely gentlemen also on the patio, 1/4 of which was also his birthday. And they felt insulted by the fact that my birthday was so fly and their homie's birthday was so whack. 4 dudes at a table all trying to crush the same waitress. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like... something happened where they were like, fuck your birthday, basically. Right? Like that.
Just hatred.
Just like, fuck your birthday. Convention. It's my boy's birthday. You're a bitch. Your whole crew's a bitch. And it was just kind of
out of the blue, huh?
Pretty much out of the blue. So like me and the one dude had some words. I'm real good at that part. Yeah. So good at that part. Yeah, I will convince you some shit's going to go down. And, blah, blah, blah. Everybody, everything was pretty much over, and then one of the gentlemen I was with was like, dude, go and get it. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, okay, y'all come with me? Yep. So fun.
And you guys all had that liquid courage in you too,
I knew the security guard. He's a gigantic brother, had a 45 on his hip. So I'm thinking nothing's going to get too out of control.
Yeah, someone will get shot.
Yeah. Well, they'll get shot.
If they're going to kill me, we'll shoot them.
They'll get shot before they'll beat me to death. Yeah. Just whatever stupid reasoning I was using in my brain, right? Yeah. So we walk out the door, and the security guard's like holding these dudes back. And all I remember is I walked out like, what's up, bitch? Don't remember anything after that.
Oh, shit.
Woke up in an ambulance, bro. It was that quick.
You got rolled at your old work,
at
bro.
My old work,
all your old coworkers saw you get dropped.
So it turns out these 4 dudes weren't just dudes. These weren't like mechanics. These were like 4 Marines.
Yeah, killers.
Home from Iraq, right? My God. Like way pent up, all fucking boozed up, and like we got mopped, bro. And like, dude, I got hit with a mag light.
Oh my God.
That's where it went. I found out after the fact.
Yeah.
My wife thankfully saved my life that day because I got hit with a mag light out immediately.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know how he did it. He came around because the security guard can only hold so many dudes.
Yeah.
And these guys are tactical with it. You know what I mean?
Why are you going to Buffalo Wild Wings with the mag light, man? You know what I mean?
It was probably Marines, in his whip, bro. It was probably in his whip.
Yeah.
They say, hey, go to the car, get something. And they did and waited for me out front. I came out and gave it to them, and they gave it much better.
Golly.
And so they hit me in the head with a mag light. I hit the concrete, bust my chin, and I'm out. I'm black. Like, my wife said she came out, and I was just laying there, dude. And fucking homeboy was about to start curb stomping me, and luckily she wrapped her arms around him. I was like, and like wouldn't let go of him. And he was like, get off me, bitch. Get off. And she was like, nope, not until the cops get here. And then that at least got him to like get her off him, and they jammed.
Yeah.
And before they did, I guess another one of my homies tried to scrap with him. They took his arm out of his shoulder. And then another friend of mine, a younger dude who used to work with me there, he was just there partying with us. He just happened, like, he just was there to like monitor what was happening. Young, like chubby kid, no scrapping. We used to play poker together. Got rocked just for no reason, just for being around, bro.
There.
Like, what did I do?
Yeah. I don't know you, but I'm sure you're a jerk.
This is one of the reasons I swear so hard against alcohol for everybody. I'm like, dudes, if I was stoned, this would have never happened.
Very true, man.
Not even close to happening.
Very true.
And like, so.
But I mean, that just goes back to what we were talking about before you got here, is one of the reasons why I don't fucking fight anymore is because you never know who you're fighting.
Oh, these
you
days
never know.
too? Motherfuckers are out here gladiator training on the daily,
This fool
dude.
fought SEAL Team 6. He had no idea it was some homeboy's birthday. They just killed Bin Laden or something. They come home, they want respect, and Zach is living it up at the next table. Like, man, fuck this fool. He didn't fucking kill Bin Laden.
Some
Fuck this
fucking
fool.
yuck over here.
Yeah, right. And then all Zach's coworkers that think, because Zach thinks he's the shit because he ain't at B-dubs no more. Or he just did comedy and shit. And they're just watching, watch. Remember Zach? He's gonna get his ass beat. Watch.
And I did.
And you got all this confidence that a black dude is gonna shoot people for you.
Oh, man. So racist.
I'm sure he's dying too.
No, dude, we were the homie. He was the homie last time I checked. We used to yuck it up, bro. But that's when you learn, like, dude, nah, bro, I'm not getting in a scrap for you. Shut your fucking mouth, dog.
God, yeah, dude.
And just like you said, man, alcohol. Of all the drugs out there, you know what I mean, that cause fights, alcohol, man.
Number one.
Number fucking one.
It's not even close.
I mean, not even close.
No.
Not even close. It's
Even
it's almost a guarantee.
People don't even really
they don't,
fight.
man.
Heroin, no.
Yeah, you're too nervous and shit
Molly,
to fight or anything.
negative.
Molly, you're loving everyone. You're gonna hug it out.
Zero chance. It's always
You're too
booze.
fucking lazy. It's always booze.
booze.
Man.
And booze is the most readily available, openly pushed. I can't believe how much. Even today, I watch like TV. I was watching Cobra Kai a couple years ago. They had the high school kids having a keg party.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Like
nothing.
Teenage drinking. Like, you're still endorsing that shit?
Yep, on TV.
Johnny
It's
Mitchell's
crazy,
like
man.
the hero of the show, basically, and he shit-faced the whole show.
Yeah. And they just go to like keg party. Like, I understand, like, you could tell a story, but like, dude, you can't make Fast Times at Ridgemont High in 2019 or whatever.
It's a different world, man.
and it's just so, and it's so ignorant and it's so obvious. And the record will reflect poorly on these folks who are still pushing alcohol and saying that that's okay when weed isn't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's crazy, man.
And then you get your ass beat, and they just give you alcohol. Like, oh, you need a drink now. Shit, man, you just got your ass beat. Here, pour this on your wounds.
They didn't
and
give
shit,
me any
dude.
alcohol. They gave me some
opiates.
IVs and a wet sponge to keep my mouth wet. I didn't even finish the story. So I
Yeah.
woke up.
Go.
So it goes from "What's up, bitch" to an ambulance. So I woke up in an ambulance. Like, where am I?
Yeah,
And
what
my
happened?
my lady was there, and she was like,
And how
"You're
do you feel at that point? You feel like you just got knocked the fuck out?
I mean, I didn't feel anything at that point. I only woke up for about 2 seconds.
Oh, really?
I said, "Where am I?" And my wife was like, "You're in an ambulance. You got knocked out." And I was like, and then I passed back out. And then I woke up in like the tube jammy, probably an MRI or not an MRI,
Yeah.
a CAT scan.
CT.
Yeah.
CT scan. And so they could check my head and shit. And then I was like, where am I? You're in a CT scan. Then I fucking blacked back out. And then I woke up in my hospital bed. After they had fluided me all up, I felt, pretty normal. I was in a neck brace, but I couldn't drink anything.
Yeah.
So she was sitting there giving me the like little swab thingy on my lips. I was like, I'm so thirsty. She's like, they said I'm not allowed to give you any water. I was like, weak. Man. Get me out of here ASAP. I also need a cigarette. Am I done? And I was fine. I had a black eye. I had I think I got some nerve damage on my chin, but like I immediately wasn't like, I wasn't trying to press charges. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I was trying to not, like, you didn't have to use a mag light, homie. You could have beat me up.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
it
didn't, and I'm not getting stuck with a big ass hospital bill, which happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I had like Blue Cross at the time, and they hit me with a $17,000 bill for that.
Yeah.
And,
Even though you have insurance and you pay the deductible. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you got assaulted.
And they said, well, we're covering 5,000. You still owe they called me and they're like, well, they cover 5,000. You still owe $12,000. How do you want to pay that? And I was like, bah! You're right. You're crazy. You think I have $12,000 to give you for that? Oopsie. No, I don't. I don't have $12,000 period, but fucking, I was assaulted. And they were like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah. They're like, did you file a police report? I was like, yep. And they were like, all right, fucking call this number. And I called the San Bernardino district attorney's office and filed a victim witness something or other. Yeah. Basically, because they didn't catch these dudes, they paid my bill.
Oh, Victims Fund, yeah.
Yeah, because
they never caught him, huh?
No, it was bullshit
crazy,
too.
man.
And we talked to the sheriff. Rancho sheriff was like, oh, we tried to find them, but they already got redeployed. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They could have. I
was like, doggy, I know the waitress. They paid with a credit card, and there's like 15 cameras in here. You know who they are.
And just because you get redeployed, that means you're exempt from getting charged with the crime?
Yeah, you didn't call. Well,
you can murder someone and go into the military and just fucking...
It's whack.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy. I bet you the sheriff was former fucking...
you
military or whatever. And I was an asshole. The story is like, dude mouthed off, he got mopped up. Fuck him. Yeah. And like, that's why like I was never really trying to press, like I'm not blaming those dudes.
Sure.
Like, I know what their trauma is. I've met so many veterans over the years bartending and comedy, especially in San Diego, that have like serious fucking PTSD. And like if you triggered that rattlesnake when they were drunk, you're a moron.
Yeah.
And I'm a moron. I was a moron.
But at the same time, you could have died.
Sure. He didn't need to use a mag light. Yeah. And Marines need to be more disciplined with that, with their killing abilities.
Exactly.
Yeah. And wasn't that the plot of Con Air?
Whew, man. I don't remember.
Like, I'm not a trained killer. You know what I'm saying? You are.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing about assaults too, man. Like I mentioned before, a lot of times there's alcohol involved, and that affects your ability to accurately assess the damage done from the assault. You know what I mean? Because then you're like, damn, is this guy slurring his words because he's fucking drunk? He's answering all my questions, but he's slurring. Is he slurring because he's drunk, or is he slurring because he got bonked on the head with a mag light? You know what I mean? So in those situations, you have to err on the side of the patient, because there's pretty specific things that dictate whether or not we go to a trauma center. If you have a blunt head injury and you're altered, that's an automatic trauma criteria. But if you have a blunt head injury and you're answering all my questions appropriately, but you're kind of like, oh, dude, this is my name is this, this is the year, but you're kind of out of it. It's like, fuck, man, is this guy fucked up from getting bonked on the head, or how much do you have to drink? A few drinks, man. All right, I don't know which it's hard to know. Let's go to the trauma center. You know what I mean? Always try to err on the side of the patient, because a lot of times, and that's really up to the paramedic's discretion, and it doesn't always happen the right way. A lot of times we'll get, because like, let's say a patient, like let's say you got the shit kicked out, you got knocked out, you're unconscious with the head injury, that should go to a trauma center. Sometimes people will fuck up. Like you could have woken up for 2 seconds and gone, and answered those 3 questions. And they go, oh, well, he fucking answered all 3 questions. He's not altered. Let's take him to Marina Del Rey,
and which not have looked that bad,
which is a basic hospital. Right. Then you get him there, they do a CT, and they're like, oh shit, this guy has a skull fracture and he's got a small bleed under there. Shit, we got to get him to a trauma center. He needs surgery, right? Yeah,
then they call me.
Well, then they call you, or they call a private ambulance company who says, oh, well, we got an 8-hour ETA or something like that. So what they do now is they call us. We get an IFT, interfacility transfer call at the fire station. So a 911 ambulance will go emergency to Marina Del Rey Hospital, pick up the trauma. Or like the other day, we had a shooting that got dropped off, homeboy ambulance, at the front door of Marina. Multiple shooting, they're not equipped to handle that. Right. So they call us, show up to Marina, pick them up, take them to Cedars, for the trauma. That happens a lot, dude. Yeah. And so it's important and incumbent upon the paramedic to always try to err on the side of the patient and go to the higher level of care rather than the lower level of care if you're confused about it or if there's a question about it. Because all you're doing, if you go to that lower level and then they have to call us to transfer, all you're doing is adding an extra hour onto this person getting definitive care. And if you learn about trauma, that's why they call it the golden hour in trauma, right? If you have a serious traumatic injury that is potentially life-threatening, you typically have about an hour to get on the operating table for different things. Right. That's why anytime we have a trauma, we're required to be gone on the way to the hospital within 20 minutes. If it takes you longer than 20 minutes to get going, transporting to the hospital for a trauma patient, you have to explain why it took you so long on scene.
Wow.
Time is of the essence with those things. So when you fuck
so
up as a medic,
you just order a helicopter right away because like you don't have time and you know this person's fucked. Hey,
dude. If you get like a traffic accident in the valley or something like that with a kid, kid trauma center, probably go to Children's Hospital. If you're in the valley in the middle of traffic, where the hospitals are way spread out over there, fuck it, call for an ambulance. Even in Venice, man, if we get something way down in the southwest corner of our district in, at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, a traffic accident down there, a shooting or something like down there, I've always thought I'm going to call for a chopper to meet me at Venice High.
That's what it's for.
Land right there and we'll throw them in so they can fly them over to UCLA as opposed to taking 45 minutes to get there in the ambulance. You know what I mean?
That's crazy, the type of resources you guys can marshal. And I'm saying, and then you should.
It's nuts, dude.
But it's also like, sometimes it makes you feel like it's infinite, and it's not.
Yeah.
My job, we can call the Coast Guard if we need to. Like, we're the only people that can call the Coast Guard to
directly
pick up people. Yeah, and tell them, hey, we have this patient. It's basically just to get people off Catalina.
Yeah.
People are stuck on Catalina and they're fucked up. And
diving accidents and shit.
If the weather is bad, the fire department won't fly. But the Coast Guard can fly in anything. Those guys are like the top pilots.
Ashton Kutcher will go get you.
Ashton Kutcher. I was just thinking Ashton Kutcher with Kevin Costner, dude. That's funny.
They have a doctor there.
Great
and we
movie,
gotta call
by the way.
them, explain the whole situation to them. Their doctor will determine if it's worth it. Yeah. And if he thinks it's worth it, they get the crew and they go, dude. It doesn't matter how the weather is, man. They fly. They're pretty crazy.
Yeah, even if I've got a buddy that was injured real bad in a horse accident up near Henry Mayo. He has a ranch up there, and the horse started bucking and it threw him up on the horn and like fucked him up, broke his pelvis, all kinds of shit, right? And his wife, he had his wife drive him to a local hospital, and they do all these x-rays and shit like that. And they're like, fuck, this guy needs to be at a trauma center. But same thing, like I told you, they called private ambulance to get him transferred over. Oh, it's going to be an 8-hour ETA. So it's like, what the fuck? So he calls his captain. Hey, man, this happened. I'm at this hospital. They're going to let me fucking die here, dude. I'm hurting bad. I'm bleeding out, blah, blah, blah. And so he gets the ball rolling with the fire department. And the fire department does that, man. If you're injured off duty in some place, like we've had guys on the show that were injured in Mexico and shit like that, they will take a helicopter and fly to San Diego and arrange an ambulance to bring you over the border to San Diego, get in a fire department helicopter and fly you back up to a trauma center in LA. And that's basically what they did for my buddy. His captain got the ball rolling with the department. They got Dr. Eckstein, who was our medical director, on the line. He called the hospital, got permission to have all his records sent over to him. He looked it over, called him up, said, hey, this guy needs to go right fucking now to a trauma center. If you can't do it, I'm sending a helicopter right now. Which is it? Hold on a second. And then, made some more phone calls, and the administrator of the hospital made it happen and got a transport there. But like you said, man, the fire department, especially the LA City Fire Department, it's a massive fire department. LA County Fire Department, 2 massive fire departments. Anything that we run across, we have some sort of equipment or some sort of department or some sort of unit that handles that. We got horseback units, we got helicopters, we got boats, we got boatmates, divers, we got fucking everything.
Fucking army.
Yeah. And it's great. Anything we run across, we can. If you're in a situation, if you fall down, the cliff sunken city in San Pedro and shit.
You guys are like the best of the best, man.
We're just kind of like the Swiss Army knife. You know what I mean? Like anything that gets called into 911 that they can't figure out what's needed, they send the fire department.
Yeah, you don't make excuses, you make it happen.
Exactly. Fuck, let me write that down.
Because there's no one else to call.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's either we do something to save this person or they die. And we'll do everything within our resources, and we happen to have extensive resources.
That's what cracks me up about when like you open up the LA Times sometimes and you'll see like they're talking shit about our salaries, right? Oh, look at this firefighter. He made $280,000 last year. Oh, look at this firefighter. He made $260,000 last year. It's like,
yeah, but they work because we're working 90-hour weeks.
Yeah, exactly. You don't understand that somebody
that you're expected to know.
The guy worked 22 24-hour shifts every month that year. That's why he made that much money, because you have to have guys working on these rigs. For him to make that much money, there had to be nobody else to work that spot, and he's willing to work it. But on top of that, you're paying. You're like, you can look at that guy made this much money, and he only ran 5 calls in that day. Okay, what you got to understand is that we are prepared for anything. at any time to do it the fastest and the best way possible, because time is of the essence in every fucking call we have. Yeah. So if you're trapped in a car and hurt, it matters how fast we can cut the roof off that car. It matters that we know how to tie a knot properly to secure it to this tree here so it doesn't keep tumbling over the cliff.
Oh, yeah.
It matters that I know exactly how much medication to give you if you're dying of a heart attack and how to put this tube down your throat right now and I don't have to fuck around with it. It matters that I know all that shit. You know, how to extricate people from a car, how to change a sprinkler head that's leaking water all over your shit in your apartment, how to shut off the gas when your food on the stove is burning and we can't get in your house, how to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How to do all that shit.
That's crazy,
I gotta know
dude.
all that shit all the time.
I know. I have to know everything.
Because I don't know what you're calling for, man.
That's crazy.
And to be honest with you,
that's a television show.
Even when we get...
It's like 5 television shows already.
Even when we get the call and look at the call on the screen and it says whatever the fuck it says, you can't even count on that being what you show up to. You might get a call for, an assault and you pull up and it's a multiple shooting or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm at the point in my career where we get a run. I just take my, bowl of food with me and sit in the passenger seat and eat and get my thing ready. And we pull up and I'll walk up to the scene and go, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Then I figure out what the hell we're going to do. Yeah. It doesn't even matter to me what's on the screen or what I'm preparing for or any of that shit really anymore. You have to be able to just show up and whatever you're presented with, act on it now.
Yeah, that's hard.
And make the right decision. Because if you don't,
with life
someone
or
could die.
death.
Exactly.
And these guys are getting too much money. No.
Exactly.
Fuck you.
Yeah. So
you know who's getting too much money? Jeff Bezos. You know who's getting too much money? Afghan warlords.
Yeah.
You know who's getting too much money? Defense contractors.
Yeah.
Don't
Exactly.
ever say a fucking EMT is getting too much money. They should get as much money as fucking humanly possible. Or you do it. Sign up. And shut the fuck up.
I should
be a good thing
I
too,
should
man,
toss
if
out there
everybody had
too,
to do
though,
it.
man, that I feel that way about cops too, because there's all this talk about defunding the police, right? I am of the opinion that being a police officer is more dangerous than my job, and those guys put their ass on the line every time they're out there, just having their badge on and being out there, because at least
because
with me,
of all the people they've murdered.
Because of all the people, there's that too, man. Don't get me wrong. I do understand that as well. And I'm on that side of the argument as well.
I'm saying reform the police.
That's a difference though. I think that police officers, that job for you to do it properly and do it well and be able to have the restraint to not pull your gun and shoot, to not beat the shit out of someone, to be able to de-escalate situations, stuff like that. I feel like, and it's kind of funny saying this to you considering your story, but I feel like people that have been exposed to those stressors in life already, who have been exposed to combat situations, who have been exposed to maybe fighting, jiu-jitsu, black belt, stuff like that, are more apt to deal with those stressors better in the field as a police officer than somebody who liked to fight in high school and was a fucking asshole and just decided, oh, I'm gonna be a cop, man, because my fucking dad's a cop and his dad's an asshole too. And so he becomes a cop and he just wants that power and he wants to fucking fight and shit like that. Yeah. Those are the assholes that give all the cops the bad name, right? Absolutely. And there's a lot of those.
Absolutely.
Cops should be paid commensurate to how dangerous and how difficult their job is, because I'll tell you something, man, to show up somebody somewhere to try to help solve a problem and someone's going, fuck you, bitch. I'm not telling you shit, you fucking pig mother, right?
Yeah.
It is super hard to swallow that shit and smile and go, listen, I'm here to help you, man. Tell me how I can help you and address that situation. It happens all the time to us too. Fuck you, fuck away from me, people on drugs and shit and methed out. Yeah, and you have, they'll even attack you sometimes. Sure. You have to be able to know that, like, this guy's attacking me because he's high. I got to try to restrain him and not beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
There have been situations where I've had to hit somebody who's attacking me.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a straight up fight.
Sometimes different. It is, man.
You're being attacked.
But that shit happens and you have to have the tools to be able to try to de-escalate that. And I think that's the problem is police departments are so hurting for people to put badges on that they're not taking the time to make sure that they have the right people to give that much power to. I mean, it's an immense amount of power.
Sure.
that a cop has.
Yeah, because they need bodies, and that's it now.
Yeah, and that's it. There's more time should be given to make sure that you're hiring somebody that has the capacity to deal with those kinds of stressors on a daily basis. And when you find those people, you should pay them what they're fucking worth, because it's a lot harder to do that job and deal with those stressors when you feel like you're underappreciated and underpaid.
But also armed officers and the type of officers that we need prepared for violent conflict.
Yeah.
Aren't the same people that you need to be sent to every call.
Very
That's
true.
the problem, is there's
And
no
that's where
filter.
and that's where the reform comes in.
That's
right?
the reform, is
Yeah.
that like we need to stop making police the fix-all for everything
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
not a medical emergency.
And you
Absolutely.
get stuck doing that because you have to give them 80% of a city budget.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like a city is really more like a police department that also has some parks and libraries and picks up the trash.
Like just in general, people need to walk into conflict unstrapped. And that's just kind of the whole like violence mentality of this country and kind of gun mentality of this country is that there's always got to be deadly force threat at the end of this. And it's like, no, there really doesn't. And if people bring deadly force to the picture, you can retreat and alert deadly force response.
Sure. I think that's why, and we always talk about it on here when we talk about one thing. Sure, we're talking about reforming police, defund the police, that whole thing and everything, right? But there are like 5 other things that have to change and happen for this to work properly.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like not taking weapons to have a violent exchange. It has to go hand in hand with gun control, and not having every
Absolutely.
retard with a dick owning a gun. You know what I mean? It should be hard as fuck to get a gun and maintain
but also
it. You know
we
what I mean?
need the like superhero mentality to chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you roll up on a house and you realize, whoops, this is dangerous, you retreat.
Yeah.
You alert the proper people, and they come and deal with the violent threat. If the people escape, follow them.
Yeah.
Tag them. Know where they're at. But you don't have to always be there. We don't need 1,000 heroes on the payroll.
Yeah.
That like at any time they have to save the day. No, you don't have to save the day. You need to chill the fuck out and get this right.
Yeah. The argument against that is like you send the, feel it out guy there, and they knock on the door and the person opens the door and fucking shoots him in the face. That's the argument that I always hear. And it's like, all right, well, that's going to happen.
You've watched too many movies, dog.
No, that happens, man. That does happen.
Well, then
it
you
does
get
happen.
shot. Then that's the risk you take.
And that's the thing that I say. All of these things and all of the answers to these things have the thing that can make it all fuck up or make it all, go to shit. That's life. That shit happens.
Yeah, process servers knock on people's door all day, every day to serve warrants and run the risk that person on the other side of the door might be like, fuck all that.
Yeah.
Bah.
And it happens, man. I mean,
Somebody could shoot you just because they don't feel good that day.
Exactly.
I mean, you can get shot because you went to the mall. I mean, that's just what's happening. But you only de-escalate by de-escalating.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the point.
Control.
Is you got to do it to see if the shit works. And there's so much resistance to change because people are so fucking scared to change, man.
And you can't tell other countries to nuke if you're not denuking.
And there's
It's the
nothing.
same thing.
Yeah, there's there's nothing you can do to stop the change that's happening in the world right now. I feel, and we've talked about this before, I feel like this period in time and this period in history right now is just super, it's like a whirlwind. So much shit is changing with climate change, with all the protests, with the pandemic, people realizing that their jobs just ain't fucking worth the money they were getting paid.
Yeah.
People
no
realizing
job is secure, no industry
and
secure.
being home, being with family actually makes me a little bit happier. You know what I mean? A lot of shit is changing right now. Mm-hmm. I feel like in the next 5-10 years, a lot of these things that we're talking about here are going to be tried in different areas and are really going to be given the full effort with like the type of people that are being like Chesa Bowden in San Francisco and Larry Krasner in Philadelphia and stuff like that are trying to change the systems. And I think the more that those are successes, the more big cities will take over and we'll see that slow change. But it's crazy, man. It's I feel it in my bones that this is like if in 20 years when we look back, this is going to be a period of time where we look and say, "Fuck, man, the world really changed a lot." It's going to feel like the '60s felt
We
to me.
can't
you know
change
what I mean?
it. Only our children can.
But yeah,
it's going
that's
to
what I'm saying.
require an
Yeah.
entire generation being on roughly the same page. And that has not been the case.
Yeah, they have better odds than we
forever.
do.
But we have a whole generation that's growing up in this period. You know, like our kids,
Yeah.
my
I'm saying.
kids, and shit like that.
They'll see how
fucking up.
stupid it is. The question is,
Yeah.
what do they build in its place? Because
Exactly.
it will be theirs to build or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
I think they're just going to kill all the old people and throw us into the ocean.
Support it.
Throw us into the ocean that you warmed up,
Please,
bro.
Yeah. Thank you.
You dumbasses.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we got to wrap it up, dude. Thank you for coming on, man.
Dude, this was great.
Yeah.
You guys are great. This is really interesting. I could
beautiful,
talk to
man.
you all day, man.
I know. Where can they follow you, bro?
And thank you for what you do. I appreciate you.
Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
no problem, man. Where can they follow you, dude?
Oh, at Zach Miller Dog. And you can see all the shows upcoming with Hemperor's Comedy at hemperorscomedy.com.
And it's Dog, DAWG.
And Zach with an H.
For reals, yeah. This guy runs incredible shows and really all over Southern California. You think, oh, I'm not in LA, I'm not going to get to see him. Nah, this dude's like San Diego, Palm Springs, like
Orange
he gets
County.
me to drive.
Yeah,
to do some shows, man.
I have to get everyone to drive.
They're always worth it. Danny, where can they follow you?
You can follow me at Danny Gonzo34 on Instagram and Twitter.
You can follow me at Ben9Humor, like benign tumor, Ben number 9 Humor at Instagram and Twitter. Follow the show at PRC Pod on Instagram and Twitter, or at PRC Podcast on TikTok. You can also email us, contact prcpod@gmail.com. If you have questions, you want to suggest a guest, or you want to buy our hot merch, we still have PRC t-shirts and stickers. Get a merch and rescue pack.
Yeah,
for,
about the merch.
$20?
About the merch too. We we'll have Centigrade. The t-shirts coming back up. We had a little issue with the trademark for the Venice sign that we had to get cleared up. That's still in process, and we have our second design waiting until all that is done to be up. So we should have all that up back in the next month or so.
All right.
That's
we
it.
want to thank Mastermind, and we are out of here.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Peace.
Yeah. Hey. All right. Hey. Yeah, I mean. Hey. Please do remain calm. About to run against it and with a little bit of soul, no times.